There was once a road, a dangerous winding path that led from Jerusalem down to Jericho. Travelers feared it because robbers often hid among the rocks. And on one particular day, a man walked this very road. He didn't make it far before the shadows closed in. Thieves surrounded him, stripped him of everything, beat him until he could barely breathe, and left him half dead on the roadside. Dust rose in the air. Silence fell. And there he lay, broken, helpless, and waiting for someone to notice. Not long after, footsteps echoed down the path. A priest appeared. Surely this was good news. Surely help was finally here. The wounded man must have thought, "At last, someone will stop for me." But the priest glanced over, shifted to the other side of the road, and kept on walking. Hope flickered, then faded. Soon another traveler came, this time a Levite, another man of honor, someone respected in the community. The injured man might have felt a spark of relief, but the Levite, too, passed by on the far side, refusing to get involved. Once again the man was left alone. His life hung in the balance, and those who should have cared the most walked away. And then came a Samaritan. Now, in that time, Samaritans and Jews did not get along. They avoided one another. They carried centuries of mistrust and hatred. If anyone were least likely to help, it was a Samaritan. But when this man saw the broken traveler lying in the dirt, something stirred in his heart. He didn't see an enemy. He saw a human being. He saw someone who needed mercy. So he stopped. He knelt beside the wounded man, gently lifting him, carefully bandaging his wounds. He poured oil and wine on them to soothe and cleanse. He placed the man on his own donkey and walked beside him, step after step, carrying him to safety. When they reached an inn, the Samaritan didn't just drop him off. He stayed through the night, tending to him, making sure he survived until morning. The next day, he gave the innkeeper 2 silver coins, enough to cover several days of care, and promised, "Take care of him. If you spend more, I'll pay you back when I return." This wasn't just a quick good deed. It was sacrifice. It cost him time, comfort, and money. But he gave freely because kindness was more powerful than hate. When Jesus finished this story, he turned to the teacher of the law who had asked him a question. Remember, that man had asked, "Who is my neighbor?" And Jesus asked, "Which of these 3 was a neighbor to the man who fell among robbers?" The answer was clear. The teacher said, "The one who showed him mercy." And Jesus replied, "Go and do likewise." And in that simple command, the meaning of neighbor changed forever. A neighbor wasn't just someone who lived next door, someone of the same faith or the same culture. A neighbor was anyone in need, anyone who crossed your path and needed compassion. Even now, 2,000 years later, this story cuts to the heart. Because let's be honest, it's easy to walk past people in pain. It's easy to get too busy, too distracted, or too comfortable to stop. Sometimes, like the priest and the Levite, we even justify our inaction. But the Good Samaritan reminds us that love isn't about excuses. It's about mercy, and mercy takes action. The Samaritan didn't just feel sorry. He got his hands dirty. He gave his money. He sacrificed his time. Real kindness is always costly, Mara, but it always matters. So what do we learn today? First, kindness crosses barriers. The Samaritan reached across a line of hostility that had lasted generations. He didn't let prejudice stop him. Second, compassion means movement. It's not a thought. It's not a prayer alone. It's stepping into someone else's suffering. Third, even small acts of care can change everything. You might not rescue someone from the roadside, but your smile, your listening ear, your helping hand, those things can mean more than you realize. And finally, this story teaches us that kindness defines us. Jesus didn't say, "Think kindly." He said, "Go and do likewise." It is not what we intend. It is what we actually do that shows the world who we are. So let me ask you, who are the people lying by the roadside in your life? Maybe it's the homeless person everyone ignores on the corner. Maybe it's the coworker who hides their pain behind a forced smile. Maybe it's a friend who never says they're struggling, but inside they're breaking. Every day, people are waiting for someone to notice, someone to stop, someone to care. The Good Samaritan is more than just an old parable. It's a challenge. It's a mirror held up to each of us. Will we cross the road and walk away? Or will we stop, kneel down, and show mercy? If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to be reminded of kindness today. And in the comments, tell us, what does being a Good Samaritan look like in your world? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more timeless stories that inspire and guide us. Because in the end, the measure of our lives isn't just in what we say we believe. It's in how we love. And sometimes love looks like stopping on the roadside when no one else will.